Are you ready to make yourself some fake wafer cones? Wafer cones, waffle cones, I don't know. Leave me a comment. Let me know. What do you call them? Are they wafer? Are they waffle? Not sure. But anyway, these are fake. We're making them with air dry foam clay. And we are going to use a couple of tools that have been sourced on Temu. You may be able to find them somewhere else, and I'll give you a basic idea of my knowledge of them without actually knowing their proper name. So we're going to start off with some cookie dough. Now, if you don't know how to make your cookie dough, that's okay. Go back to the basic videos here on YouTube, and you will find it in the clay dough mixing video. There's cookie dough, gingerbread, chocolate, and milk chocolate. I think there's the 4 colors. So go back into that video and you will see how to make this colored dough. So we're just going to roll it out. And I'm just going to divide this into smaller pieces to work with. So we're going to make 3 different sized cones, and you can adapt this so you can make them tiny and you can make them much larger. If you're going to go larger than what we end up doing here, you will need to improvise. And I sort of think, look, I haven't tried it, but I sort of think you could use a styrofoam cone to make a larger one. Has anyone played around with that? Let me know. So we're just rolling these out. Now I'm going to give you a guide here. See in the middle? See how thin it started getting? Guess what? Too thin. It's good to get them thin, but you don't want them too paper thin. Now my rolling pin is sticking a little bit there. It needs a little bit of our spray-on canola oil just to stop that from leaving those marks and sticking, and see how much easier that rolls now. We're going to do 3 different sizes using our round cookie cutters, starting with the smallest one. Now, from memory, the one with the lines in it is like a pasta making tool. So look up maybe pasta rolling pins or something like that. Now we need to spray this with oil because we don't want it sticking, especially because it's timber. We don't want it sticking on our clay. I do not use this for any food prep. This is purely for fake baking. And I find it's really good just, if you want to make up like a small wafer to put in the top of your shakes, or even little chocolate bars. It makes a nice little chocolate bar. Now you want to press firmly, but you don't want to press it that your line's going all the way through to the back of the clay. Doesn't matter that it distorts a little bit. That's okay. Doesn't that look like a potato chip? Doesn't that at that stage look like a potato chip? Seriously, I think we need to make like a bag of potato chips. And then just coming back through the other way. So we've got this little square. And you can see a slight imprint on the back of that, but it did not go all the way through. Now, this is like a cream horn roller. So maybe you can Google that and see where to buy them. Now, I like it because it's got the handle on it. You can get those silver cream horn ones, but they don't have the handle, so they're a bit harder to use. Now, you can see there I have got plastic wrap over that tool, but because I did not put any oil on it, I'm having trouble getting that clay, that wet clay, off there without distorting it. So I'm just very gently sort of trying to move it around without distorting my pattern. But a little bit of oil on that will make all the difference. So, we just learn. And there you go. One little fake ice cream cone. Now, just you can put a skewer in the bottom of the styrofoam and stand them up to dry, like put them in a drying container. I usually just get a pot and fill it with expanding foam, and that way I can stick my drying items into that to hold them while they dry. Or you can put it on a styrofoam cone if it's going to stand upright on its own. But cover the styrofoam cones with plastic wrap as well, because that will stop the clay from sticking to them. So now I'm going to double this one up because I feel like that was again too thin. You don't like, you will soon find out the preferred thickness. But if you go too thick, they're too chunky and they don't make a nice shape. Go too thin and they're just too delicate. So this is the next size. See this? I'm like, let's not have that sticking again. So just with the residue that was on that paper towel, I've just wiped that over that cone. Look at me getting prepped here now. See? Obviously, I thought the shape of this cone was better for this size. We're just going to wrap this cone in some plastic wrap. And using our pasta roller tool, we're going to create our lines. That really does look like a chip, right? And see if you can go back over it. So don't stress about it. It's easy enough to do. Even if the clay, see how it's dragging down and distorting a little bit? It's okay. It's perfectly fine. Once you put this together, you won't notice it. Now watch this. We roll the first piece of clay over and then keeping the point pretty well stationary. You're just rolling the top. That might take you a little while to get. You might pin it straight away, or it might take you a little while, because when I first started doing these, coming up with this idea of how was I going to do it, it actually took me a while, believe it or not. And then once I realized what I needed to do, then of course it's easy peasy. But at first I was like, I'm not quite getting the look I want. But now I think I've nailed it. And of course, once you add some paint to these, it just takes it to a whole new level, and we will paint them. I will paint them with you in a moment. Nice big piece of cookie dough colour. And this is the largest of the cutters. Still heaps more dough there that you could easily be making more. Now remember, if you want the clay colours to make the cookie dough, you need number 1 white, number 25 pastel yellow, and number 31 light gingerbread. All of those colours are available on my website. Just go to www.kjdecorates.com and go to the store tab and you'll see them under air dry foam clay. Remember, my website's in Australian dollars, so if you're shopping from another country, you'll just have to do a quick conversion so that you understand what you're paying for with the item. Now again, watch this method. Keep the tip in place. You're only rolling that outside part. Now I pause here because the amount of clay I've still got to go, I think, is that going to make this cone too thick? But I decided to go with it and then have a look at the inside. I think that looks like a real wafer cone would. So I was quite happy with that. I thought, no, that's fine. It's going to prep our styrofoam cone again with a little bit of plastic, and you could put just a little bit of residue oil over that plastic to stop that clay from sticking. But I usually find that as this is drying, the outside starts getting a firmer crust, and it's easier just to give it a little twist to remove them off those cones. Don't forget, if they don't want to stand, put a skewer in the bottom of the styrofoam cone and just place it in a holding vessel. And you can have a heap of these ready to go. So we're using Deco Art Americana brand paint in the color of honey brown. I'm going to take just a inexpensive flat brush, and this is a dry cone. So let them dry, because if you let them dry, they're a lot more durable. If you try painting on while they're still soft, it's going to distort, and you don't want the extra moisture on there. So let them dry. There is no flash painting techniques, and you can see the way that I'm pushing my bristles in those grooves. My bristles are splitting, which means don't use a good brush. You just need an inexpensive brush, but you want to work the paint all the way through. See that sideways motion all the way through into those lines, because this is what's going to create that depth and give us that realism. Just get some depth into that fold, and also up the top. Look, you might be putting a drip on this, or you might be putting your ice cream over the top that you don't notice it, but so it's little finishing touches, right? So we're spritzing a piece of paper towel just with water. You can see I've got that little wet section. Now I'm just going to dab this and then just drag it down the cone. You could see that paint residue coming off onto the paper towel. That's what we want. Can you notice that while we're doing this, the line section is staying darker? You want that. You don't want to take all the depth out of those inner lines. Keep that dark, and you're just wiping it off the surface. That's what's giving you that realistic look. I love these so much. Let me know, will you be making some? And as I said, you can make these, guys. These are the great crafts to do just to get yourself prepped. I mean, that looks real, right? And then when you want to make ice creams, you've got your cones ready to go. Let me know. Was that pretty good? Was that pretty good?